Welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast with my co-host Brian Siegel. I am Curtis Wilson. Brian, it is after midnight, Sunday morning. How you doing today?
I am great. I'm having a lovely morning so far.
Me too, sir. Celebration beer.
Flinkies.
Oh my gosh. What a evening to watch some football. What a day to watch some football. Action all around, good games all around, nail biters, unbelievable performances. But Brian, let's just jump into it, man. Let's just jump right into the game. Brian, we start here before the game even starts. We're following Mike Nizzoli, Andy Bitter. They're talking who they're seeing. They're seeing Hendon Hooker. They're seeing a lot of starters. About an hour before the game, Andy Bitter tweets out that we have 23 players that are not dressed for whatever reason or not. And, of course, we're looking through this. We see Hendon. We've heard rumors that he wasn't going to be there, so not a shock for us.
Yep.
We see Keyshawn King. That's a little bit of a shock, a little bit of a who. Keyshawn's a good change of pace back. First not having him. We see Jermaine Waller, which that had been discussed more, the foot injury, and I think people feel like he had a nick up. But of all the players, it was some guys who were probably going to contribute, but the two big names on the list we did not see coming.
We got two coaches.
Not only coaches.
Not just coaches. Defensive coordinator Justin Hamilton and linebackers coach and former defensive coordinator Tracy Claeys out for the game. So that's your probably number one and number two potential defensive play callers not ready for this game, not in attendance. So right away, I went from feeling pretty good when I saw the players that were out to feeling, holy shit, this might be bad once I saw the coaches that were out. What about you, man?
I was the same way. I was like, oh God, this isn't good at all. Jay Ham, who, as many people have talked about his mind and how he likes to, draw up things, is very respected. And then Tracy, who you feel if something happened to Ham, Tracy'd be the guy. He'd be designing the game plan, calling plays, and they're both out. And it's like, holy crap. Okay. Then it's like, well, who's calling plays? Oh my God, who's calling plays? It's the guy who's 8 years younger than me and you and Ryan Smith. And some me and people kind of talking and chit chatting, things we're involved with, like, why not Tierlick? Why not Tapp? They have all this experience. And Brian, you made the point, why it's Ryan Smith, probably not them.
Yep. So in terms of coverage and things like that, that's going to be touched by a lot more hands on the defense. You're talking about your linebackers going to be involved, whip, boundary safety, and obviously your corners. So a guy that really understands the coverage at a great level is going to be the guy that you're probably going to lean on in this instance, despite the experience that a guy like Tierlink has, being a more veteran in terms of a coach at this point. So, I mean, as we will get to in a second, I think that played in our favor a little bit. Definitely a lot more than what we were anticipating, I think.
Yeah, the expectations were well above what we were probably expecting. And I know me and you mentioned like having Tierlink with probably the changes that are going to happen through the line throughout the rotations, players who are going to be in and out, things he wants to do. He's probably focused on that. And then we think of Darryl Tapp, got played with 12 years in the NFL, so much experience. He was probably going to me, I think probably you had Tapp as the guy who probably was going to be talking through with the two linebackers. Luckily, we have a very experienced core of linebackers with, Rashard Ashby, Dax Hollifield, Tisdale, and even Artis, because Artis has played some, probably more getting a feel of what those guys are seeing, relaying the information, because Darryl Tapp is that smart of a player where he probably could take the linebackers' info, feed it into Ryan Smith. I don't know if Coach Ham and Coach Claeys were on a FaceTime call feeding in. I don't know how that worked. But either way, it's not. But
yeah, we don't know to what degree they were tapped into the sideline, but whatever they did, it turned out pretty damn good, guys. It turned out pretty damn good.
I mean, Hokies all over NC State, 45-24. It was not that close. Hey, Brian, should they have ever moved that line?
No, they should not have moved that line. That line was low. that
Hell, that
line
was
was low.
low from the beginning. They should have been raising that up. So we easily covered the 6.5. Our predictions, you know, I give you the victory because you did essentially get the bigger margin, even though it was still 14 points. Hey, I got closer to the amount of points we actually scored, though.
There you go.
And I almost hit what they scored. I'm trying to get a win here. But, yeah, the impressions, 23 three starters, some key guys we feel really good about it. I mean, Brian, I'm going to get some stats here in a second, but what's just your overall impression just in general?
These guys really wanted to play some football.
Damn right they did.
They came out like they were shot out of a cannon, like they were shot out of Skipper. And that adrenaline worn off. There was a little bit of a lull, but then settled in. Were consistent the rest of the way out. Definitely, I mean, just talking about top level, when I look at what the offensive game plan was coming into this thing, it was to run the ball down their damn throats, and that's what we did.
It was, man. And I tell you what, 474 total yards, offensive yards, over 500 total from scrimmage. We had a couple good punt returns, a couple good kick returns, 314 on the ground on 40 carries. 314 on 40 is 7.9 a carry. That's insane. Brian, what do I always talk about, though? Let's take out the big runs. I took out
the big runs.
The three biggest runs by each player. We still averaged over 5.5 a carry. One of the largest opening rushing total since 2000 when we went for 335. There was this guy named Vic on that team. And a guy named Suggs.
I've heard of him too.
You heard about those guys? Yeah. So, yeah, unbelievable. 160 passing, didn't need much of it. Came up big, though. Braxton Burmeister starts, 7 for 16, 106, 9 on the ground, 9 carries on the ground for 46 yards. Obviously, we'll discuss a little later, Braxton has the hand cramp. Quincy comes in relief, 4 for 6, 75 yards, 2 touchdown passes, 10 for 47 on the ground, adds a touchdown there. One of our transfers, Khalil Herbert, 150 yards from scrimmage, Brian, and a touchdown. Your man, Raheem Blackshear, adds a touchdown as well on the ground.
Hey.
And even though there wasn't much for the receivers, a couple guys still feasted pretty good. Big Stone Gap, 3 receptions, 68 yards and a touch. Tavion Robinson, 4 for 40 and a touch. Trey Turner only got 1 reception, but still got 69 total yards, including that big jet sweep. So, we feel good there. Now, defensively, Brian, me and you kind of about last hour before we started this up, we were just kind of chatting, looking at stats, like what we want to talk about. And I gave you this. I said, we gave up 336. And you're like, that's a solid number, Brian. And I said, hey, Brian, 200 of those 336 were on their garbage time touchdown drives. They had 3 of them. And you just kind of went, ooh.
Oh, yeah.
6 sacks, 2 interceptions. This team that had went significantly high last week on the rushing stats, averaging, over 6 a carry, about 5.5 a carry, 42 carries, 139 yards, 3.3 per carry. The longest run they had all day was 14 yards. They weren't breaking anything. We were tackling well. We'll get into that with some of the key plays throughout the game. Brian, if I told you who the leading tackler was, if you guessed who the leading tackler would be at the beginning of this game, who would you have guessed?
I'd have probably said Rook.
Yeah, me too. It was not Rook. It was Keontae Jenkins, 8 total tackles.
Freshy.
The freshman going in there, stepping up big. Justice Reed, 2 sacks.
Man-child.
Looking like a man. He is a man out there and just pushing people around. 2 sacks, set up a couple other, sacks as well with some of the stuff he was doing. Yeah, man. Brian Murray with the pick, Devon Diablo with the pick. Murray almost tried to get another one, so pretty crazy. So, Brian, just listen to those stats. How's that make you feel overall now, as potentially as we go as a team? Players are missing the players that are there.
So I think the big thing, down 3 key starters, down another handful of guys that were going to see significant snaps, and without your 2 of your defensive coaches, and we go out there and handle our business about the way we expected to handle our business before all of this shakeup. I feel pretty damn good. I feel like this is best possible outcome I could have imagined from this game. And that was, not taking into account that we didn't have any defensive play caller as of the start of the game. So I'm kind of blown away. I mean, my expectations, I think, were mid to low relative to probably where they would normally be in a game one against an opponent that I think we're significantly better than. And, the Hokies came out, played well, and handled adversity when it came, and then took care of business.
Absolutely, we did. All right, we're going to get into a quick game flow here through the quarters, things we saw. Brian's going to lead this, and the reason Brian's going to lead it, Brian, you played collegiately, you coach at a high school level. There's things you see during the game that I don't. Did I make notes? Yes. I tried. But there are certain things I know I'm probably missing. So, Brian, let's start it up. Let's crank it up in the first quarter. What are you feeling?
All right, so first quarter, right out the gate, offense looks smooth. Offensive line is what really jumped off at me right out the gate. Having Brock in there, it hums different. It hums different. And I was seeing him mauling guys all game, but right out the gate, like I could just see the impact he was having on the offensive line and just how much better it looked at some of those zone exchanges, and not having those negative plays because of some of those that we've seen in the past. So, I mean, right out the gate, that was big. And Herbert took advantage of that early on. I mean, he had a couple big runs on that first drive, even though we settled for 3. And, after the turnover, came back and he was, hot again on that second drive. I mean, I'm going to say some words that we haven't really said in a while, man. Herbert has lead back potential.
He does, man. He absolutely does. He runs. He's got speed and power. He gets cut. His vision's really good. There's a couple times tonight he waited, set it up, moved it in. I also like the way we kept it very simple those first couple of drives. We weren't trying to do crazy things or take shots downfield. It's like we're going to execute our game plan and we're going to do this. Yep. You mentioned the Divine pick. Man, something I noticed early, and I made a quick on this, and this was kind of all night. We were just gang tackling everywhere. We were getting pressure. We were gang tackling. Like it was when they got hit by one, within about a tenth of a second, there were 2 more there, and they were down.
Yep.
The 14 yards I talked about, like that was a pretty big deal. And then, Brian, what do you think you see from the D-line on this?
So D-line, Reed is a monster. He's great at setting the edge, and he's great at the bull rush. He's pushing the tackle into the quarterback's lap, and that's opening up pass rush lanes for other guys too. So, I mean, I love what I'm seeing there. I like what I'm seeing from the zone adjustments that have come with this defense.
Yeah.
We've seen, variations of man or like some cover 3 man under and things like that. But having some of those linebackers and the safety and whip in more zone coverage is really giving them an opportunity to do some things that play to their strengths, which is some of that read react and a little bit more baiting quarterbacks into making some bad throws. So the only time that the quarterback I saw was having some success was when he was able to throw on time upfield, between the zone. But anytime where our guys are where they needed to be, it became a problem. And we talked about the Diablo pick, and that constant pressure in the backfield was something that kind of set up a lot of negative plays for them, whether it was a couple interceptions or whether it was a couple big sacks that we had in that first quarter that really just got them off their game plan early.
Absolutely. The one thing I noticed, and me and you talked about it, and I think I sent you a text or two, was never seen this before with Bud. We blitzed Dax, we blitzed Rayshard, we blitzed Tisdale. They were delayed blitzes, though. They were not significant delays, but that's different. That's something we have never seen from our defense in all the years we've watched Virginia Tech football. If we're blitzing, usually snap, they're going. And it's that delayed, and I know you mentioned to me when I talked to you about it a little while ago here about what that can do, especially with the guard. And one of them was like the Justice Reed and Rook delayed, and he just went straight past the guard. But so take it real quick with the delayed blitz now, which that looks like it's part of our scheme now. What it does to especially the interior linemen.
So the big thing is especially with a 4-man front, there's going to be one guard that usually doesn't have a man in front of them that they're blocking. Usually, whatever side that the one technique is for our defense, that guard is probably going to have some 2-read to 3-read situation for linebackers coming in. And if they don't see anyone right off the bat and they see somebody else next to them that's struggling with their man, they might try to pinch and help and at least throw a hand out there, if not go in there and try to clean up that situation. And with a guy like Reed getting in there and that guard trying to help out, all of a sudden you got a delayed blitz from Rook or delay from Dak or Tiz, and now they're in the backfield making a big play, man.
Exactly, it's huge. Sort of hit a little downswing on the offense in the end of the first quarter. But at the end of the first quarter, we're up 17-0. I don't think any Hokie fan would complain about that start. We drove 3 times. We scored 3 times. We stopped them. Basically, they were non-existent on their offense. But we go into this second quarter and, just a couple, kind of 2 big moments in the game, Brian.
Yeah, so, we kind of started the second quarter, the first drive of the second quarter, had a couple negative plays. And unfortunately, at the end of one of those negative plays, Burmeister goes down, takes a sack, and comes down weird on his throwing hand and comes off the field. We think it might be dislocation or something like that. Turns out later we find out he was having some sort of some hand cramps. Couldn't close his grip there. So that was an interesting. Even they noted on the broadcast a very interesting injury.
Yeah.
That is I've never heard of that particularly. So that was something interesting to deal with, but we talked about it on the podcast several times, man. Best quarterback room in the country.
In the country.
Third string quarterback Quincy Patterson comes off the bench.
Yep. Took a few
comes
minutes.
in, hits a couple good runs, hits a couple fades, and all of a sudden we're in the end zone.
We are in the end zone. And there was no yellow flag on the Tavion Robinson touchdown where they.
Oh God, he was getting mauled. He was getting mauled at the 5-yard line, and he caught the ball 6 yards deep in the end zone.
Yeah,
he had to literally push his man into the end zone, and then came back and made the play. No flag, It reminded me a lot of like some of those jump balls that Evans was throwing when we played Pitt. Back in 2016, where we were just getting mauled, but we kept still bringing them in and getting the touchdowns.
One touchdown flags that night and driving Narduzzi crazy. It was great.
Yeah.
One thing we missed, and I know you love to see it early first, was that seam route to Mitchell. After running those outside plays and those safeties kind of started moving away, we popped that seam. He gets us down, and we score. That's one of our scoring plays, which you always love the seam. And,
I do. It's not so much that I think we should run a lot more seams. It's that I feel like we never run them when I think we should.
Exactly.
Like a lot of times, you get some of those third down calls, and I think sometimes the seam can just loosen things up a little bit. So it was good to see that get hit. That was a big play for us. That set up that set up the first touchdown, correct?
That set up the first touchdown, correct. And The other thing we missed before the Tavion fade was that hell of a catch by Caleb Smith, going back, keeping it off the ground, and then securing it A couple plays later was the Tavion touchdown. I mean, that was a damn good catch. And Caleb had a couple catches tonight, and later on a 2-point conversion. So it was awesome to see that.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys involved, even though there wasn't any big stat line for the receivers other than Trey's big run. I mean, guys were involved the whole night, so it wasn't like they were just out there throwing blocks for Herbert. They were doing some business. It just not a lot of it showed up in the stat line, but big nights for those guys. And
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, and like then we see the defense go 3 and out. They're continuously holding. We kind of stall a little bit. I wouldn't say even stall, because we scored the touchdown, and then we kind of have a couple, punts. We move the ball a little bit. But then as we're going in here, it's 17-7. They score on us finally, and we come out, and we go on a nice long drive, 75 yards. We score a touchdown. And this is, to me, where the game flipped, because they're still down 17. They just answered, we answered. And you're feeling, okay, even if they kick a field goal, they have to feel good about themselves. Defense goes out, 3 down or 3 and out, 8 yards, punt, get a little bit of a good field position thanks to that punt. It was going to be deep. Tay brought it up a little bit for us.
Yep.
And then a couple plays later, big play, makes the big play.
It was our favorite play, the favorite play of the podcast, the jet sweep, man. They jet sweep to Trey. He gets outside, does a good job of making the cut when he reads the safety coming up to Phil, kind of shoulders off one tackle, and next thing you know, he's off to the races. And took a corner in the backside safety to finally walk him down. So that was a huge play, and it was a play that I think we needed to kind of get some of that good feeling about what we were doing back. So, we had a sustained drive after Braxton's injury and after giving up the touchdown. Quincy went out there, led a pretty good drive. We got a good touchdown, and then. But being able to hit that big play again really kind of got that momentum back in our favor and felt like we were taking the control of the game over again.
You know what it felt like? It's the Python theory. It felt like we loosened it up for a second, and then when Trey did that big play, it was like we're getting points here, and it just tightened up.
Yep.
And then big stone gap with the fade, catches it. And you just felt like it's 31-7. It's just like we can both constrict them the rest of this game. They cannot move the ball, sustain it enough.
Yeah, I mean, even when they were sustaining drives, they weren't getting chunk plays fast. Like, even though they're a tempo offense, because of how much they rely on the run game, they're still slower drives than like a team that's running air raid or something like that, where they can get a couple big plays in the open field, and all of a sudden, you have a 45-second drive on 5 plays or something like that. No, it's even when they're running the way they want to, it's still taking some time off the clock.
Absolutely.
And they were able to get a couple good plays on their subsequent drive, and were able to kick a field goal before half, but that still didn't really feel like it did a whole lot for them.
But I'm still calling this out. Sons of Saturday, Pat Finn, you cursed us by putting up, we're going to be up 31-7 on NC State. And what do? They kick a damn 53-yard field goal. So, Pat, shh.
You don't hit tweet till the clock's at 0.
Well, you know what? I hate to say this. I saw it go out, and I went into the Twitter, and I'm just like, I got the Fry, the eye thing from Fry from Futurama, and I just sat there. When that went through, I pressed it like, you deserve this because of that. So we come out in the third quarter, Brian. NC State gets the ball, and they kind of went, I don't know if you would call it tempo, but they kind of went with some quick passes down the middle. And the next thing you know, they're driving down the field, 3-step drops. They hit a couple good passes. And then something you mentioned in the podcast Thursday about Hockman.
Yeah, so he was late throwing an out against Wake Forest. They got took to the house by the safety. Little different scenario, but same route and same instance of Hockman throwing the ball late. They ran another out route. In this case, instead of having man with a safety shell, we had Murray out there kind of playing a little off zone, and he baited Hockman into throwing the out. He kind of sat there a few yards off. I think it looked like Hockman may have had a read that he wanted to go to somewhere else first, and then he was going to the out. He saw he had a little bit of cushion out there, and he thought, I got the arm to get it in there. And as soon as Murray saw those eyes go over there, he broke on it, picked it off, almost took it to the house. It was after the way we just kicked their dick in the dirt in the first half. There was no better way to come out in the second half and just start things off, man. And unfortunately, we only had to settle for a field goal on that as a result of that. But I think it just at that moment I was like, all right, their will is starting to break a little bit here.
Oh yeah. They knew with that pick right there, this is over. And I think what we did is we went super conservative. We run 3 power plays, and we just kick a field goal to make it 34-10. You're up 24 points. It's, you're 5 minutes off in the third quarter. It's kind of like, are you going to be able to score 25 points? You're probably not going to be able to score 25 points in that time. They kept Hockman in, though. Keontae Jenkins causes a bad throw. We already mentioned it. Justice Reed was a beast all night. We stopped them again on another drive. And then, Brian, we kind of, lo and behold, after we stop them, somebody shows back up.
Hey, Braxton Burmeister back in the game. Alliteration aside, it looks like he was able to shake off whatever was going on with his hand. I don't know if he got some fluids or ate some sort of special food in the locker room at halftime.
The rumor is out there he ate mustard because it was something he needed some salt in his body.
Okay.
And maybe because the awkward hit, Braxton has not played in over 2 years or close to 2 years. Maybe just all that kind of happening all at once. But, he comes back out, and down the field we go for 46 yards.
Yeah, pick up another field goal there.
Yep, pick up another field goal. Herbert has another good run. Braxton has a good run. Then we get the pass interference penalty where if that guy doesn't trip Caleb Smith, he's walked. Because it was if you looking at the replay, me and you, we hit real quick. We hit each other, and it's like if he doesn't trip him, Caleb Smith walks under that ball, and he's a touchdown.
Oh yeah,
they saved themselves there.
Yep, because Caleb had a step. He was in good position for the ball. Ball was thrown, looked like on time based on where, with Caleb getting tripped up, he ended up only about 6 yards short of where the ball ended up landing. So, he would have ran right under that. And like I said, I don't think that the corner would have been in a position to make any sort of play on it. So, so.
The setup of that drive, though, Brian, was the heart attack moment of the night with Tavion at that weird-ass angle trying to go field that punt.
Yes. So he was right in the middle of the field.
And he was going for it, and you kind of texted me. It's like, you got to just let that go. It's a weird angle. You're coming at a weird angle. Just let it go.
You're running full speed, and you've got guys coming at you that are close enough. Just let it go.
Yep.
We don't want you to take any unnecessary hits like that. We don't want you to end up putting the ball on the turf and give them a cheap and easy touchdown there to give them some sort of life at this point. So, learning experience, but at the same time, he still did a really good job in terms of punt returning tonight, other than that one little situation. And again, the level of difficulty of doing that was high. You just got to be smart enough to say, I don't need to take that risk.
No, not that at that point in the game when you're up 34-10.
Yeah, we don't need a big play right now. We need to protect the ball, and fortunately for us, we ended up falling on it, and next thing you know, we're back in business here.
Down the field, kicking the field goal. Finally, they pull Bailey Hockman. They put in Leary, the sophomore. He comes in. He does lead them down for a touchdown drive. Really on that one, they were against the more second teamer defensive line who overall the second team defensive line played really good with Amari Barno, Eli Adams at times, Zion was at times with Kendricks, Philpott, and Fuga in the middle. But this one they kind of came out with Leary. They hit the outside zone. He made some good throws. Kendricks did get a good sack on that play on the interior, and they had to convert a fourth down to get there. So clearly, when you're having to go for like 4th and 8s, the game's out of reach. But they get, again, part of their 200 yards of their 336 yards of total offense right there. Now, best part, I really liked this because he had missed the time earlier. We keep Braxton in the game. And that's kind of when he has a good run, then Jalen Holston has a good run. And then on the Jalen Holston run at the end, very scary moment. Khalid Martin, safety, number 21 for NC State, it's football. His neck popped back. He was on the field, both teams on their knees. I felt like you saw Fu wasn't on his knees, but you kind of saw him. I don't know if you saw that moment. They kind of showed him, and he was just kind of sitting there, and he just had his head down. Very scary moment. They take him out. Luckily, just a couple minutes away from the hospital. Hopefully, hear good things about that young man over the next few days. Prayers up for him, Brian. And
absolutely, definitely a scary moment. And having been on the field for a moment like that in the past, it's definitely something where your thoughts are going out to the other team because you don't want that to happen to your team. And everybody's out there grinding, trying to win. Just hope the best for him. You hate to see an injury like that happen on the football field, especially to start the season. So prayers and thoughts out to him. Hopefully he has a swift recovery and nothing too serious there. So we'll pick back up here. But after that happened, we had a
couple more plays. We punt it. We pin them deep.
So then they take a long drive. They get 45 yards on the drive, but then go for it on 4th, and we were able to stop them there. And that's where we kind of put the foot on the throat here.
Put the foot on the throat.
Yeah, come right back out. We got a first play from scrimmage on that drive. Braxton Burmeister's in there. Throwback screen to Khalil Herbert for 46 yards.
Yes, sir.
That did set up a short yardage situation inside the 5. Who comes in, Curtis?
Finally bring Quincy in for a freaking short yardage situation. Thank you.
Quincy Patterson comes back into the game for short yardage, gets the touchdown there. And then the surprise of this little exchange is that we brought Braxton back in for the 2-point conversion. I guess Fu just really wanted 45 points.
Yeah. As happy as he is on the TV right now, I'm assuming that's what he wanted. But also a good chance in that situation. We're up 43, and they can, people are like, well, that's just adding on. And it's like, well, no, he missed a significant amount of time. It was actually a nice little play design, a little rollout right. And he had I think Caleb Smith was his second option. And they covered, I think, James Mitchell. And then there's Caleb kind of drifting back underneath, pops it in, 2-point conversion.
Kind of did a little of that Montana trick. He was was rolling out, but they had some penetration upfield, and he had to give some more ground and then kind of throw off his back foot. But he found his second target, Smith, right there in the middle of the end zone for a touchdown, and that really kind of closed it out there. There was a long drive by NC State in garbage time, probably took up more clock than they wanted.
True. Well, Brian, hold on. We got to go back to the Quincy Patterson run and what Doug Nestor did.
Yes, we do. I'm glad you reminded me of that.
Yeah, I have to.
Because I was watching the replays, and they were talking about it on ACC Network. Nestor was in there at guard, and he pulled and led the way for Quincy on that touchdown short yardage, and he completely blew the shit out of the linebacker. Like, the linebacker came in the hole to fill, and like He put him on his back. He gave him pancakes. I hope he gave him syrup too.
Well, I just saw the play. They just showed the replay of it. He pushed the guy back like 8 yards. He's too like the letter, the cross on the H is where the guy lands from the goal line. So that's 6 yards.
Again, that's what we call a pancake. I hope he gave him some syrup.
Damn right. And it's just fun doing this late night, Brian, because me and you've had a few beers. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning. I'm a little delirious probably. Basically, they go out and score another touchdown. On that drive, though, Eli Adams gets a sack. Good for him. Murray tries to pick another one. He tried to undercut, and he damn near got it.
Had his hands on it.
He had his hands on it. And then there was another play on that same long drive to kind of their last drive that they score on. Guy gets up. Brian Murray he's a fucking ball. He wants that ball.
Yeah.
And he played well tonight. Armani Chapman tackled well tonight. There was a couple times where he was against bigger guys on the sideline, and he essentially just made a very solid fundamental tackle, got the guy down.
Yeah, when he had the responsibility of having to take a guy out, open field tackle, just him in space there, he did really well. He covered really well.
Yes, he did.
They didn't go his way a lot, which says a lot about what he was doing in coverage.
Exactly. So, again, all sorts of good things. So they score it. We essentially get the ball back. We drive down. We could have had a 50-burger.
Oh, yeah. Holston broke off a big run that got us inside the 10. Had a couple runs that got us down to the 2. Coach Fuente, with just over a minute left, decides he's going to go ahead and we'll take a knee on it, call it a game.
Yeah, man. And, it's one of those things where we just kind of, at the end of the game, it was just kind of like, if you told me and you Thursday night, like, by the middle of the third quarter, you're going to be able to hop on Skype and chit-chat with each other and bullshit around before the game ends, we would have been like, nah, there's too many potential guys out. There's too many things.
Yeah, I thought we would probably still pull the win, but I thought my anxiety would have been a whole lot higher the whole game than it was. So I thought I'd have been a little more high strung and kind of just ready to bang it out. But no, we were relaxed and chatting it up and just trying to build this thing together before we press record. And I'm gonna ask you this, buddy: who stood out to you in this game? Like, give me 3 guys that really showed up for you that either you didn't expect or even if it's a guy you thought needed to show up and they did just a really good job of fulfilling those expectations.
Well, I've mentioned him already a couple times. Brian Murray. Brian Murray showed up. And even with Jermaine nicked right now, it makes me feel really good because, people bagged on Armani last year. Armani as a freshman played damn good. He was a top 10 freshman in the nation. So I knew he could play. But Brian, with very little experience, the way he played tonight, it makes me feel good. Even though he's not in my top 3, Singletary came in, a couple good hits. I feel like he'll probably get there to make that room more depth-wise. Keontae Jenkins, unbelievable. And, the third, can I just say the whole freaking offensive line?
I'll allow it.
It wasn't just one. You saw guys getting upfield. You saw good pass pros. Even the sack, like the Braxton sack where he kind of hurt his arm, that was on him going backwards. That was not on the offensive line.
And they weren't getting to our quarterbacks unless they were bringing pressure.
Yes, absolutely. You talk about blocking the communication, and that's when you have a guy like Christian Darrisaw, who's a potential NFL tackle, and you have the 2 guys on the interior, Hud, Nestor, Leticus, who are good guards, and Luke Canuta, who's growing into his own right tackle. And you got Hoffman, who feels like he's making the right calls. That's my 3. What about your 3?
I'm right there with you. on Keontae Jenkins.
Okay.
Not just the tackle numbers. I saw him doing a really good job with the run fills. And I think the thing that impressed me most is that I didn't see him really out of position any. Like he was where he needed to be. Even if he wasn't the guy that was making the play or if he maybe missed a tackle, he was there. He was where he needed to be. And that is saying something for a true freshman making their first start against I'd say a quality ACC opponent. I don't think NC State's top half of the league, but they're a team that, you know, especially in the run game, can hurt you if they execute well. And you know, he went out there and balled out, man. Number 2 for me, Brock Hoffman, living up to all of the hype that we had for him both last year and coming into this year, man. I mean, we've talked him up. It feels like because he didn't have last year when we thought he would, like it feels like we've had a lot of pent up hype for Brock, and to go out and have that type of performance, I mean, making all the right calls, clean snaps, saw him completely mauling guys on the interior, really understands the zone concepts, and having a center that does that kind of trickles down to the guards. So that's really going to help their game as well. So I really love that. And if I had to put a last note there, I'm going to put Khalil Herbert.
Oh, okay.
Herbert, I mean, watching him, what he was doing in the open field with his one cut, I mean, he was one cut and he was finding where those lanes were and just making that NC State defense pay all night.
All right, I'm going to ask you this question about Khalil, because the other two guys were kind of I'm on the whole offensive line because I think that group is absolutely beast. Buddy of mine from the West Coast texted me. I haven't seen a running back like that in the backfield in 10 years.
I'd say yeah.
David,
in terms of if he's able to stack some of these games back to back like this, yeah, definitely I could say that. I mean, we've seen guys have a couple big games like this, so if he shows me this consistency, yeah, I'll go ahead and throw that on him. But I mean, just seeing what he did tonight, right out the gate, I mean, that was impressive. Like I said, lead back potential is where I'm at right now. I'm not going to call him the lead back, but he's got lead back potential. And I haven't said that since David Wilson was in our backfield.
And he was special. And you see the way we talked about Khalil, man, power, speed, vision. There are a couple of times and I asked you, I'm like, there are a couple of times he set up his runs, and you're like, yeah. Like he waited. He let it develop, and then he hit. And
he's got more burst than I thought I saw on his tape from Kansas. And let's just go ahead and give a quick shout out to Justin Fuente and his coaches.
Oh my God!
For pulling guys from the transfer portal and having them make impacts right away. Between Reed and Herbert's big night and what Blackshear was able to do with zero practice this week, and probably not even part of the game plan in terms of how they were planning to attack NC State's defense. I mean, they did wonderful. And I tell you, another guy that didn't really show up on the stat sheet but did some good things in the run game, Fairs was out there getting some big blocks on the edge to open up some of those long runs we had, both from Burmeister and also from Khalil Herbert.
All right, Brian. I'll send it to you, and I'll say it to the listeners of the podcast. We ain't seen everything from this team yet, and that's scary.
Yeah.
You talk about Fairs blocking. Fairs didn't get used too much in the pass game. Changa Hodge, Blackshear in full mode, getting Keyshawn King back.
That's not to mention the fact that we were using our number 2 and number 3 quarterbacks in game 1 of the season. Wait till QB1 gets out there.
Wait till QB1 gets out there. All right, Brian, I'm looking up here. I am not staying up much past 1 o'clock because it appears that BYU has absolutely blown the doors off Troy. Your Lakers have advanced to the finals. Congratulations.
Yes, they have.
We'll definitely, when we get back later this week, we will definitely hit on some of the stuff we saw, not only in the ACC, but probably some things we saw in general today. It was a great day of college football. I know you did some family activities. I watched football. Had to leave the house for a little while. Wife got a little headache, so I took the boys over to the in-laws. Still got to watch some games, but
Y'all in the garage over there? You and the father-in-law?
father-in-law's garage, so multiple games up. So yeah. But Brian, anything we're seeing on Twitter that might have pause for concern before we wrap this up?
Nothing at the moment, man. Nothing at the moment. It's a good night. Everybody enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and we'll catch back up with you end of this week, and we'll do it again.
That's absolutely correct. Well, that's going to wrap up this late night edition of the Boundary Corner podcast. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
Follow us Twitter, Facebook. Check us out your favorite podcast portals, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. As always, we let Jason Long, our good friend, play us out. Hit him up on Spotify and Apple. We got 1-0, Brian. 1-0. Let's go.
Hokies.